Hello everyone and welcome to the patch notes for Wild Rift patch 3.1. This is a really huge patch and probably be a big video, so if you want to skip to any part of the video I'll leave timestamps down in the description. But yeah, this is a big one and I think this is, in my opinion, probably the biggest patch of Wild Rift so far that I think is going to change a lot with the meta. First up we have the new champions. We have Karma and Shen, which will be both releasing. Well, it'll be tonight. Well, I say tonight, it depends on your time zone, but it will be basically the night of the patch notes, which is on the 23rd, and then on the 24th at midnight, both Shen and Karma will be releasing. Karma obviously has like a completely new skill set, which is going to be quite interesting. The ultimate is different. The passive is also different as well to what it is on PC League of Legends. So I'd be interested to see how she plays. I've already done like my predicted builds and everything on Wild Rift Fire, and I'm definitely going to be giving them a try. And I will be doing guides for both Karma and Shen when they release. So make sure you keep an eye out for that one. I'll be telling you combos, builds, how to play the champion, and so much more. So make sure you keep an eye on that one. We finally get the news tab. I think news tab is going to be pretty awesome. You can easily search for like patch notes, game news, community events, esports, and videos in the app, which I think is going to be awesome. The new rank season starts as I predicted. The new rank season is going to be starting as well, which is going to be the 26th of March at 7 a.m. GMT +8. And you'll be able to earn the glorious Crimson Evelyn rewards, and you can also get like the extra chroma as well, which is quite nice. I think it will say here added some new goodies with the rank coins, so glorious Crimson Evelyn. I think, yeah, that's the one. Weapon augment, where you can make it look all shiny and everything. And also you have the Jinx as well, which is kind of cool. You have the Wild Pass, the Center Wild Pass, which is coming out, which is going to be pretty cool. The Wild Pass is going to be available again on March 24th when the patch comes out, so I'll definitely be picking that up. Now, we have new modes. Now, to kind of verify this, so they're going to be doing the Elemental Rift. However, it is going to be a limited game mode, so it's not going to be on ranked at day one, which I think is a really good idea in my opinion. Even though this will probably split the player base and they won't be able to test too much about Elemental Rift, I think this will give them enough testing for Elemental Rift to see like what's balanced, what's not balanced, and how they're going to change it. Because even though Elemental Rift is going to be something now, it might be something different, completely different in patch 3.2 as it mentions here. So they just want to test it. They want to see how things go, and we'll see how that goes. But I'll definitely be giving this a try. I'll definitely be doing a video on the new dragons and how it all works and a lot more in detail. But basically, on death on the second dragon, the map will change and will open up unique gameplay opportunities for your team. So Mountain Dragon will forge new terrain, Infernal Rift will burn bushes away, and Ocean will spawn more bushes across the map, which is kind of awesome. And saying each dragon grants your team bonuses, but once you say 3 dragons, you get a powerful soul. So this is called the Dragon Soul. And the Dragon Souls give you extra things. So the Mounted Dragon by itself, so that's not the Dragon Soul, will increase your armor and magic resist, and the Soul will now grant you a shield as well when you don't take damage for a short amount of time. Infernal Dragon grants you attack damage and ability power, and then the Infernal Soul creates an explosion around your abilities and attacks, basically dealing more adaptive damage. Mention how it's quite nice how it's adaptive damage. That means if you're AP or AD, it doesn't matter. The splash damage will depend on what you're building. So if you're building a lot of AP, the splash damage will also be AP, so it will deal more damage. And the same with AD as well, which is quite nice. And Ocean Dragon restores health over time, and the Ocean Soul restores more health when dealing damage to enemies. And then lastly, you have the revamped and more powerful Elder Dragon, which is very close to the PC counterpart. Once Dragon Soul has been taken by the team, Elder Dragon will be up for grabs. It will operate its end-gaming true damage effect and execute enemies when they drop low on health. If your team snags Elder, that's quite an interesting term to use, get ready to fight. So I think Elder Dragon, once you take Elder Dragon, it's going to be very late in the game though. So I doubt we'll have most games with Elder Dragon, to be honest. But when a team does take Elder Dragon, it's pretty much game over, to be fair. Kind of like what the Elder Dragon is now once you have a few dragons under your belt. Skins, obviously with Karma and Shen, we have the 2 new skins, which is quite nice. And obviously we have the Senna skin, and then we have the April Fool skins as well, which again is going to be released in March 31st, which is what I predicted. Veigar, Rengar, and Renekton. I got some cool little accessories, some like Lego bricks, some icons. We've got new Poro icons, which I think look pretty cool. Some new emotes, some Poro emotes and everything as well, which looks pretty neat. We've got some events. So we've got the Ione event, which is going to be to do with Shen and Karma. So you'll probably be able to unlock one of them for free. And then Season of Silly. So this is, again, probably an April Fool's event. Again, March 31st, probably for when the new skins come out. Right, onto the champion changes we go. There's a lot of champion changes, and there's a lot of item changes and everything. It's a bit ridiculous. Ashe getting nerfed, which is an interesting one. I wouldn't say she's overperforming in a way. I mean, it's very, very weird to think that she's overperforming. I think she's like decent. I think she's a lot better in competitive. If she is played, but the problem is that it's AP meta at the moment anyway. But I think when it comes to duo and trio queue, I think Ashe is a lot better. I think solo queue, she can struggle quite a lot because she doesn't really do a lot of damage. She's more about her utility, her slows, and her stun. But interesting nerf. 10% damage nerfed AD ratio. I'm guessing there's like some sort of elo or something that's, you know, seeing like a lot of Ashe being played, so that's quite an interesting one. Blitzcrank is getting his overdrive changed. Firstly, his base stats. His base armor in the early game is going down. Also, the armor per level is going down, which means that he's losing about, what's that? About 15 armor overall over the course of the game, which is quite a lot, to be fair, if you think about it. But then I believe they buffed the overdrive, or they made it similar to the PC version. You got the first cast now, which gains movement speed decaying over 10 seconds, over 1.5 seconds. The total duration of the cast is 2.5 seconds. There's 1 second cooldown before you can cast this ability again. And then the second cast is where you gain even more movement speed afterwards, which decays over 25% over 1.5 seconds. And then when the overdrive ends, Blitzcrank gets slowed. So basically the new part is the second cast that you get. So now you get 2 casts for Blitzcrank. So before it's just 1 cast, and once that first cast ends, then you'll be slowed. Now you get a chance to use it a second time to get even more movement speed. So it allows you to reduce the distance between you and the enemy, which could be quite helpful. So it'd be interesting to see what Blitzcrank does. But again, you're nerfing the armor of Blitzcrank, so it can be a little bit difficult as well. We'll have to see what the changes are like. Still don't think Blitzcrank will be that good, to be fair. We'll see how the changes go. You know, it's quite nice that they're trying to make changes to make Blitzcrank viable. I think he's like in an okay-ish spot. He's like a very unique pick, but you have to land your hooks to make it work. Fiora is getting nerfed. No surprise, really. I think Fiora is probably one of the strongest solo queue champions at the moment, both in the Baron lane and the jungle. Very strong and competitive as well. Was the most picked champion in the WREC. Most picked and banned champion, sorry, in the WREC. So no surprise here. Galio, the ultimate damage is going down by quite a lot. So the AP ratio is going up. Okay, this makes sense. So they're trying to push you more into building AP Galio and playing mid Galio than actually playing tank Galio, because at the moment there's a lot of support Galio, like a lot of support Galio. I think just because of how strong he is when he roams around and with his ultimate, but also because he's a good counter to Rakan as well. So I think that's why he's getting played in the meta quite a bit in support. So basically reducing his base damage, so support Galio doesn't do as much damage, but increasing the AP ratio, so it makes you want to build more towards AP Galio and maybe play mid Galio a little bit more. So that'd be quite interesting to see if that will take into effect, or people will still build tank Galio, which I think they will, and I think Galio support will still be a complete fine pick, even though the base damage is quite low anyway. I don't think you don't really take Galio support for the base damage, to be fair. You more take it for all of his crowd control and just that offering of being there at any one point with your ultimate. Garen is finally getting some nerfs. This champion is disgusting. I'll just delete him off the game, please. It's actually disgusting. I don't know why I'm burping. Probably because I just ate a little bit ago. Base damage of the E is going down, and also the total base damage from all ticks is also going down. Obviously the base damage is going to go down from all ticks when the base damage goes down. So it kind of makes sense, but it's just showing you the overall damage as well. So the overall damage is going down by 16 if you hit all parts of the third ability, which is quite a lot in the early game, to be fair. I didn't think they would nerf him this much, but it is quite a lot, to be honest. Demacia Justice, the ultimate, level 1 is unchanged, but level 2 and level 3 have both been nerfed. So again, just making me a little bit weaker in the late game, which is no real surprise. Non-primary target damage is also getting nerfed. This is basically the spread damage around the ultimate, how much damage it does. So that's going down as well. Bonus AD ratio it's now 0.12 of the target's missing health instead of 0.8. So they've actually buffed the target's missing health damage. So they nerfed the base damage, but they made it better if you use the ultimate when they have more missing health. Okay, that's quite interesting. That's quite an interesting change. Non-primary target damage bonus AD was 0.04 of their missing health, now 0.06. Okay, so basically making it, you know, better for you know, for more of their missing health. And basically turn down the base damage. So this is fine. I think it's just nerfing the base damage just because, like, sometimes with Garen you can just use it even when the enemies are really, really high on HP and do a lot of damage. And it allows you to gap close as well at the same time. So, I mean, some people are doing that. Not a lot of people are doing it, but some people using the ultimate as a gap close and then using his other abilities on top of that. So that's probably the reason why they're doing it, to be fair. So I have to see how that one goes. Interesting Graves buff. Really, really interesting Graves buff. Graves now deals 150 damage against monsters. This is really interesting. You'll see there's a jungle change later on, which will blow your mind. But this might be why this is getting buffed as well. But 150 damage against monsters is quite nice for the first ability. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But again, this is probably to counteract the changes that happen into jungle, which I'll get into it later on because there's some pretty big changes. Irelia is probably getting nerfed. Yeah, getting nerfed. The base attack speed is going... Oh, no, it's actually going down, but it's actually going up as well from the passive. So your maximum stacks is going up, but the way you start or how much attack speed you get from the start has been lowered. So lowering the start, but making it better for people that are more skilled with Irelia and allowed to stack the passive, which is quite nice, to be fair. And also the cooldown's been lowered as well. Interesting. So this is kind of adjustment, and then this is a buff. This adjustment is like kind of a nerf to if you only have a few stacks, but when you get more stacks, you'll get more attack speed, and also lowering the cooldown as well, which is pretty nice, actually. It's probably a buff overall. I thought it'd be a nerf seeing these numbers. It's actually a buff overall, which is quite nice, to be fair. I mean, you'll take that. It's pretty cool. I think Irelia is a really, really fun champion, to be fair. There's plenty of people in the WREC that play Irelia as well, so it might be quite fun to see that being popped up. Jhin. There's a lot of changes to items, which I'll get into again later on, which might make Jhin pretty insane this patch. His base health is going down, but this is a huge thing. The passive now, missing health physical damage, has gone from 15% to still 15%, but you get plus 1% per level, and it's capped at 25% at level 11. This is huge. So basically, after a level 11, you're getting 25% missing health physical damage. Huge for Jhin. This makes Jin's late game really, really strong, to be honest. I mean, at the moment, his early game was pretty good, but when you scaled into the mid and late game, you just didn't feel that power with Jhin that you want to feel, you know, with your force shot and everything. But now, you'll be able to feel that for sure, and they're obviously making the early game a little bit weaker with the health, which is no surprise, because I think if they kept the health the same, then Jhin can just play really, really passive, just scale up into the late game and just be a beast. So kind of makes sense. Master Yi changes, which is very, very interesting, especially to the Alpha Strike. This is very, very similar to the PC League of Legends change as well. Master Yi becomes untargetable and strikes up to 4 enemies near his target, dealing basically AD physical damage to all enemies hit by 4 strikes. There's now a new effect, which is if there are no targets, this ability can strike the same unit repeatedly, dealing 25% damage with each subsequent strike. So basically, at the moment with Master Yi, if there's not a lot of enemies around, Master Yi will only attack with his first ability, I think only like a few times. I think it's like 1 or 2 times or something like that. But now with the new effect, the first ability, if you're using it on red buff, you'll be able to get more stacks of the first ability, or basically it will stack more times and it will deal more damage. Basically, that's basically how it works. And attacks reduce the cooldown of Alpha Strike by 1 second, which is still the same. Deals bonus damage to minions and monsters, which is quite nice. And this ability can crit, also dealing 60% bonus damage, which I don't think this was here before. I think this is similar to PC League as well. But now the ability can crit as well, dealing bonus damage. So pretty nice changes to Master Yi. I have to admit, I think his jungle clear is going to be a lot quicker as well. So I have to see how this change goes into effect. Passive and Nami going down, the movement speed. I think Nami is probably one of the best supports at the moment, so nerfing her a little bit is not too bad, but to be honest, extra 10 movement speed, not really going to do that too much to her, to be fair. I think her laning phase is just way too strong. The amount of crowd control that she gives and slows and everything as well is just way too strong at the moment for the game. Valor, the shield duration is going up, so they're buffing Riven a little bit, making the shield duration go from 1.5 to 2 seconds. Not a big change, not a big nerf, but one that is definitely welcomed onto the Rift. We'll see how things go with her. Xin Zhao getting buffed. The base damage is going up, especially at later. Wow, really a lot in later ranks, actually. That's going up by 9 base damage. That's quite a lot. And the cooldown is getting lowered as well by 1 second every rank. So 3 Talon Strike as well from Xin Zhao. We have to see how that works, especially with Black Cleaver as well. I think Black Cleaver with Xin Zhao is actually not that bad, so it might be a thing. The second ability as well, the thrust damage is going up at nearly all ranks. So I think they maybe realize that Xin Zhao could be a little bit too strong in the early game, but the late game is kind of where he suffers, which I totally agree with. Because in the late game, it can be hard to engage. It can be hard to do a lot of damage, especially with other AD bruisers at the moment in the game. But we'll see how that goes. I think Doom will be happy with this, even though he doesn't play jungle anymore, but he was one that loves Xin Zhao. This is a scary buff. Yasuo getting buffed. Now, there's probably a reason for this. Again, item section. I'll explain that in a second. The whirlwind speed is going up and the whirlwind range is going up. A little bit scary, to be fair. But again, I think they're buffing Yasuo because of the nerf that's happening to his main item, Solari Chargeblade, which I'll talk about in a second, which there's been a few leaks about, but I'll talk about anyway. So, bit of a scary buff to Yasuo, but we have to see how that one goes. Damage dealt by subsequent slashes after the first has gone down by 100% to 60%. That's good for the massive amounts of damage by stacking his shadow slashes. With his shadows, we are adding fall off damage, so this burst is not reasonable. Okay, so yeah, so sometimes you can use you can use your third ability twice with your second ability as well, because with all the ability haste that Zed builds. So that's probably what this is. So just nerfing the second part or the second use of the third ability. Which is quite cool. And then nerfing Ziggs a little bit as well. The minefield duration has gone from 10 seconds down to 7 seconds. Cool. No big deal, but he's still really, really strong, to be fair. And I think he still will be really, really strong. Earth changes. No one really cares, to be honest. All right, gameplay changes. Oh, this is the big one. This is the big one. Black Cleaver. Ability haste is going from 25 to 20. Honestly, don't think this will do much at all. I think the item is still insanely strong. The amount of stats that it gives and how cheap it is as well, and how much it benefits all these AD bruisers as well, is just absolutely disgusting. So I don't think we're going to see Black Cleaver falling off. Saying that, there's a few new items which are going to be quite fun. And one of the new items is Death's Dance, which is going to be changed to a armor item instead of a health item. So it's going to be an AD armor item. So finally we get another AD armor item in the game. So build some Kindle Gem. Oh no, sorry, that's the old build. Build some Chain Vests. Warhammer plus 900 gold. Okay, so it's just 2 items. So Warhammer plus Chain Vest, okay, plus 900 gold. That's a lot of gold. Holy moly. A lot of combined gold. And it costs 3,000 gold in total, sorry. So 35 attack damage, 40 armor, 15 ability haste. Cool. Physical vamp has been removed, obviously. You still get 30% of... oh no, sorry, this has also been removed. The 30% of the damage taken is instead dealt as bleed damage. That's also been taken, and now we have a brand new passive. So it stores 35% for melee, 15% of range of all post mitigation physical damage, received, which is successfully taken as true damage over 3 seconds instead, dealing a third of the stored damage per second. So basically, if you're against a lot of AD champions, it'll be really, really good, because it basically stores all the damage, most of the damage dealt. 35% is quite a lot, to be fair. And then it's dealt as true damage over time, which can obviously be healed up, and as a bruiser you don't really worry about that too much. But if you get a takedown, this is where the interesting part comes in. If you get a takedown, then it removes Ignore Pain's remaining stored damage and heals you instead for 15% of your maximum health over 2 seconds. This on top of Triumph, the healing you get from Triumph from the takedown, and also the healing as well you get from Death's Dance, I think it's going to be an absolutely disgusting combo. I think if you play like Camille or someone, and if you go Death's Dance, and if you go Triumph on top, the healing you get from Triumph takedown plus the healing from Death's Dance, you can basically go up to like full HP maybe. Maybe not that much, but you know, you get the idea. It's a lot of healing basically. Dead Man's Plate from 50 to 40. So just nerfing the movement speed you get at 100 stacks. Not really going to change too much. I think the item's still really, really good. And the stats that it gives and how cheap it is again. So I have to see how that goes. Divine Sunderer is the other new item. 3,300 gold. It builds from Sheen. So it has the Sheen passive, Drom's Fist, and Kindle Gem. 20 AD, 400 health, and 20 ability haste. Actually, no, this is not a new item. Sorry, this is just a rework. This is the first new item, I should say. So that's the Spellblade passive, which is the same as before. After using ability, your next basic... Excuse me, your next base attack within the next 10 seconds of the target's maximum health is dealt as bonus physical on-hit damage, with a minimum equal to 125% base AD and a maximum damage against monsters equal to 225% AD. Now, if the target is a champion, you heal for 7% as a melee or 3% as a range of the target's maximum health and a minimum, and you get a minimum heal as well equal to 90% or 50% based AD, which is pretty crazy, to be fair. For those who don't know, this was a really, really popular item for Ezreal, so I definitely will be giving Ezreal a try with this item. Obviously, you're limited to one Jhin item, so instead of building Trinity Force, you can build Divine Sunderer with Manamune. Might be quite interesting. You can go for like maybe a bit of a tankier Ezreal build. That's definitely something I'll be giving a try, so make sure you keep an eye out on the channel for that one. Fimbulwinter, which is basically the Winter's Approach item. The evolved version of... wait, do they actually show... No, they don't. Wait, what? Oh, no, they don't. That's really weird. I don't know why they showed just Fimbulwinter, but basically I think both of them are changing. Fimbulwinter's getting more ability haste, and now... instead of granting ability haste, you now grant bonus health equal to 8% of your maximum mana. Now, this is the same as PC League. This was not the same as PC League, granting extra ability haste, and to be fair, not really that helpful, but granting bonus health now equal to 8% of your maximum mana could be pretty huge. Also, it refunds 50% of all your mana spent as well, which is pretty awesome. And now they've got they've added a new effect with the immobilizing part. So now immobilizing or slowing an enemy consumes your mana and grants a shield for 3 seconds, absorbing damage as well. So every single time you land like a Galio, Torn, Thresh Flay, you know, Blitzcrank hook, you're always going to get a shield every single time, which is quite nice, to be fair. Again, really, really nice change. One that is very, very welcome. Hextech Megadrive, again, another really, really nice change. Where it's now, instead of immobilize the enemy reduces the cooldown, it's now an immobilize the enemy reduces the cooldown of your active items by 50%. And now they have a bonus part, which is this effect will trigger multiple times if an effect hits multiple champions at once. Rakan ultimates, Morgana ultimates, trying to think of other things, Thresh Flay. There's loads of champions that I can think of now that might make use of this item. The main one is Rakan. If you can land multiple knockups and land multiple taunts or charms, whatever you want to call it, with the ultimate, you'll reduce the cooldown by quite a lot of Hextech Megadrive, which is going to be really, really good. This is basically like a bug fix. Apparently, it's supposed to be like this in the first place, but now it's a bug fix. Now, this is another really strong item. You can tell how long this patch is. I think I'm for 22 minutes already. Another new item, Hullbreaker. Costs a total of 3,000 gold. This item has such insane value, actually. BF Sword, Drom's Fist. Insane value. A lot of AD, a lot of early damage. And it's only 500 gold as well to upgrade to Hullbreaker. 55 AD, 300 health is disgusting stats. Like... actually disgusting. This is the same as like Ghostblade AD, but you also get health on top of that. And the great thing is this is a new split push item. So while no allied champions are within 1,200 units, you gain 10 to 15 based on level bonus armor and bonus magic resist, and deal 20% bonus damage against structures. Perfect for split push champions. Perfect for the likes of, you know, Camille could maybe run this. Trendamere could run this really well. Jax could run this really, really well. There's so many champions that could run this as a split push. Fiora as well, potentially. Insane. And then nearby allied siege minions or super minions also gain bonus armor and magic resistance as well. Bonus sides, and also deals 200% damage to structures. Structures are already really easy to take. Now they're making it even easier to take if you go Hullbreaker. It's mental. It's absolutely mental. Bonus distances are removed immediately whilst allies are standing nearby. So, great split push item. Will be really, really fun to try. You know what the crazy part about this item as well? If you look at the PC counterpart, there's actually a difference between melee and ranged champions. So, if you're a melee champion, you get more percentage of bonus armor and magic resist. But in Wild Rift, you don't. So, I'm thinking ranged top laners, Hullbreaker first item, being able to get bonus armor and magic resist. Vayne, I'm looking at you. Could be pretty good. It might be pretty good indeed. Solari Chargeblade. Alright, let's talk Solari Chargeblade quickly as an AD carry main. They're getting rid of the stupid 50% crit. They're getting rid of the stupid grants bonus 25% crit, which, as I mentioned before, that's quite, you know, quite bad for Yasuo. So that's why they're kind of buffing Yasuo in a way. But thank God for this change. You know, playing champions all the time and building Solari Chargeblade got kind of boring. You can tell by this as well. This is it's quite an interesting one if you had to look down, but we'll talk about that in a second. So now, using ability gathers radiance up to 3 charges and no longer grants bonus critical strike chance. So now the item's just going to have 25% flat crit rate, and that's it. That's awesome. Now to compensate that, the damage is going up. So now instead of dealing 24 to 52 damage, it's now going to be 33 to 75 damage. So you're going to get 30 plus your level times 3, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, bonus magic on hit damage. And the damage can also critically strike now as well. So it can now also do even more damage if it does critically strike. So if you build like 100% crit and use an ability and then you get Starry Charge Blade on top of that, a lot of damage. A lot of damage. And the missing health modifier is removed, which is completely fine. Yeah, they got rid of the extra 25% crit you get when you use an ability, but now the extra damage makes champion scale a lot better to the late game. I'm still going to try this on like Xayah, Lucian. There's a lot of builds that I want to test, a lot of things I want to test. And one of the main reasons why I want to test so many things is because of this. This is one of my favorite changes, I think, in this entire patch. Stormrazor. Finally, this item is becoming useful. This build path was shit. It was so bad. Shard, terrible. Cloak of Agility, terrible. You basically get 0 damage. And also like 1,000 combined costs. You're basically sitting on Shard and Cloak of Agility, which are 2 terrible items anyway. And it doesn't really give you any damage. And you have to wait 1,000 gold to complete Sorry Charge Blade. Gone. Out the window. BF Sword. Shard. Plus 300, 700 gold. So now it costs an extra 200 gold. But you now get 40 attack damage. Oh, that's an extra 15 AD. 15 AD, plus the build path is insane, plus the combined cost as well is a little bit cheaper. The BF sword is also there as well, so you can get the BF sword in the early game. This could honestly be a game changer for AD carries. Caitlyn uses this really well. Jhin uses this really well. Tristana uses this item really well. And the great thing is as well is that the energized passive stacks. Stormrazor, Static Shiv, Rapid Fire Cannon. I cannot wait to get this started. Just give me the patch now. I cannot wait to give this a try. I'll have to see how it goes. Yomuu's Ghostblade has been nerfed by a little bit. Again, the movement speed, not too bad to be fair. Please note this tooltip may not reflect the update, but it is live. Cool. Doesn't really make too much of a difference, but I think the Jhin build now will probably be like a crit Jhin build. These are all the summoner spell changes. There's quite a lot of summoner spell changes, and one that actually no one picked out on. One that wasn't leaked at all. As you can tell, most of these changes were not leaked, which is quite good. Exhaust is getting a bit of a change. The movement speed slow, instead of being 20% flat, is now 60% decaying over duration. So it's going to be a lot more when you use exhaust. So using exhaust at the right time is going to be crucial now. Instead of just using it pretty much whenever, and it's going to be 20% flat. Now it's going to be decaying over time, so you need to make sure you use it at the right time. And also the cooldown's going down by 5 seconds. This is really good for AD carries as well, and you'll probably be seeing this used a lot on AD carries. Heal is basically turned into a support rune now. ADCs are never going to take this anymore. Effects are increased by 100% on the most wounded nearby allied champion, and the allied champions get heal and extra movement speed. The base heal has gone down though, so basically if you take heal, you get less healing yourself, but your nearest ally that's the most wounded will get more heal. Like I said, basically making it more of a support summoner spell. Your movement speed gets lowered, but the movement speed of the ally gets increased, and also the cooldown's been increased as well by 10 seconds. Cool. It's basically a support rune now. Never take this on AD carry, please. Ignite is getting a little bit of a change, so it's getting a little bit of a buff in the early game, but a little bit of a nerf in the early game. Wow, that nerf in the early game is quite massive actually. 30 damage in the early game for Ignite, and they're only buffing it by like 12 in the early game. That's pretty crazy actually. I don't know. The early game is quite nice to be fair, because I think laning phase might be a little bit more important, so maybe for more aggressive champions it might be quite good. The cooldown's also going up by 10 seconds, so making sure you use this at the right time is very important. Right. These are the big changes. Smite. This is one of the big changes in the patch. So at the moment, when you use Smite, increases damage to the monsters by 10%. Auto attacks, spells, anything like that. Now, it only increases ability damage. So basically damage from your ability. So auto attacks now does not count. Jax, Fiora, Graves, all of these champions have been nerfed from this change. You don't have a lot of abilities. There's no way you're going to be doing extra damage when you smite a camp or anything. This is crazy. This is mental. Yeah. So yeah, a huge nerf, to be fair. So, you know, all the champions that were in the jungle are now not going to get 10% increased damage on their auto attacks, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, and also 25% less gold and XP from killing minions for 5 minutes, and that's 25% less gold and XP for killing minions for 6 minutes. So that means that basically you can't go into lane, and if you basically need to wait a little bit longer for you to go into lane and take a lot of experience. So basically reducing the amount of XP and gold you get from killing minions. This is probably the biggest change though. So when champions take Smite, that means that they're going to be dealing less damage. If you're like Jax, Graves, basically if you're any auto attack champions, you're going to be dealing less damage, which means your jungle clear is going to be a lot slower, and everything as well. So mental, crazy change. That also doesn't mention all the dragon changes that are happening as well. Elemental dragon changes. So they're basically what they're doing. They're nerfing the base dragons itself, but they're buffing the elder versions, because at the moment they feel like the power in the early game of dragons is just way too much. So Mounted Dragon, instead of getting 6% max health, it's now 5% of your maximum health. Cloud Dragon, instead of getting 6% movement speed, it's now only 5%. Ocean, 8% is now 7%. Infernal Dragon, 6% is now 5%. So again, they're nerfing all the base dragons for the stats. But they're nerfing the Elder Dragons. The buff for slaying Elder Dragon will grant even stronger version of the elemental buff. 50% stronger effect is now gone on to 100% bonus effect. So basically making the Elder Dragon stronger, basically. And you can see here, Elden Dragon has now gone from like 9 to 18 to 10 to 17.5. Oh, actually, no, a little bit of a nerf there. 9 to 18 to 10 to... Okay, so they're making it a little bit less for the more dragons you have. Basically making it, I mean, some of them are buffed. Elder Ocean's buffed. Elven Mountain is slightly nerfed. They're not really big changes, to be fair. Overall, it's a buff, though, especially if you only have, like, 1 dragon. If you have 2 dragons, it's a little bit buffed. If you have 3 dragons, it's the same. If you have 4 dragons, it's basically less. So, again, trying to make Elder Dragon that, you know, that little bit stronger. Baron buff changes. Sorry, Jinko. Jinko thought he had all the stats. He doesn't have stats anymore. Baron buff health is going up by 800, and now it's going to be a lot harder to kill as well, because you can see the extra damage that it deals now is quite a bit. The magic damage you get from the acid pool and the knock up has gone up, and also the acid shot. Players that take more than 1 shot take 70% damage after the first shot, so they take even a little bit less damage after the first shot. But in the end, again, crazy changes. Crazy system changes. Speaking of system changes, let's talk about the system changes. Again, huge change to experience. They're changing the catch-up modifier. Reducing the amount of... I just want to read this just to kind of explain it a bit more. Reducing the amount of catch-up experience in the game overall, slightly to increase the ability to solo carry. Instead, it will be easier to generate larger level leads. This will also reduce the power of various strategies that revolve around falling behind significantly to get big bonuses from the catch-up experience. So basically what they're doing is, so at the moment in the game, if you're behind on experience, if you're behind on gold, the system basically gives you more gold and experience to catch up in levels. That basically is going to be reduced. So reduce the modifier experience gained by players significantly ahead, which means that if you're ahead, you'll get more gold now and you get more experience. And then the same for then it's a complete opposite from when you're behind. So behind the rest of the behind the rest of the team, yeah. As the players that are ahead will be penalized less, while the players that are ahead will be favored less. Basically, that's what it is. So basically, they're making solo carry potential a lot more. They're making wave management and laning phase a lot more important, because now if you zone enemies away from experience, from gold as well, this is going to be really important for laning phases. And all these sort of things as well. It's going to make laning phase really interesting now. I'll be totally honest with you, very interesting. So we have to see how that goes. Goals? I just looked at the word gold, so I kind of did gold and goals at the same time. Anyway, speaking of gold, turret gold changes as well. The outer towers, inner towers, and inner inhibitors, you grant a lot more local gold. So the actual champions that are taking the towers in that area are going to be really important. So if you're, again, split pushing with Hull Breaker, brilliant, you're going to get more gold. But the global gold you get has been lowered. But it's just how much gold each team member gets. Cool. Awesome. That is everything. 35-minute video, extra bits, add announcements to guilds. Admins can now pin posts. There you go, E-man. You can pin posts now in my guild. You want to join my guild? Let me know in the comments, and I'll add you in. Make sure you add me. Added 900p revolution. Cool. Resolution. Don't really care. If you're inside jungle in champion select, your summoner spell will automatically change to Smite. Awesome. No more intense 1v1 battles with red buff. Cool. Added text first pick to champion select for blue side. This is hilarious. I think a lot of people didn't know that if they were on blue side. A lot of people didn't really know if they were blue side or red side. Basically, if you clicked on the minimap in champion select, if your duo lane was on the bot side of the map, you're blue side, which means you always get first pick. But if your duo lane's on the top side, that means you're red side, which means you're on the red side of the map, which means that you're going to get second pick. But now they have a little indicator to make it easier for you, so say goodbye to that. Added Apple promotion. Cool. Added a setting to automatically attack an enemy after casting ability that empowers attacks and everything. Cool. Made some improvements to ally buffing targets to give them more control. Added a resource bar below Camille's health. Awesome. And we have some cool champions. Yomuu free to play from March 33rd to April 6th. So I am basically deleting the game during that period. Anyway, moving on. That's everything. As I said, huge patch. I think this is going to be huge meta shift in general. Karma and Shen videos coming out very soon as well. As soon as they release. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see Shen or Karma. Actually, I'll probably leave maybe a vote or something to see what video you guys want first. And whatever gets upvoted the most, I will do a video on them. But yeah, anyways, as always, thank you all for tuning into the video. Hopefully you're excited as I am for patch 3.1. I'll see you all on the stream. I'll see you all for the videos. It's going to be an exciting one for AD carries. I'll see you all next Wild video. Peace.